And what I thought we'd cover this afternoon is just a few points in relation to what I would do in the follow-up and what I do in the process of getting people started in the business. So here's some ideas that you might want to use, that you might want to duplicate. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using this video, but just use the ideas off this video in terms of interacting with people and what you're doing with people. So remember, there's 4 key questions that we're going to ask at the follow-up stage. That's 4, and these are very important questions. Of course, we can start out with things like, did you review the information? Did you listen to the CD? Have you watched the video? Did you read Copycat Marketing? Some of those sorts of questions. Of course, we can ask the question again, which is, what did you get out of the presentation? What did you see in this business for you? What aspect of this business do you like? Those sorts of general questions to get a dialogue going. But the 4 key questions that we definitely want to ask, and remember that when we go and do a follow-up, we have an objective. The objective is not to answer all their questions. The objective is we want to ask the questions. And the first question, of course, is the dream. And I generally draw a picture and say, okay, this is you, and this is your current career path. This is what you're doing now in your business or job. And down the track here, 4 to 5 years, we set up a target or a goal. And the question is, what is it that you really want? What are you looking for? And I normally give people some coaching. I talk in terms of what they would do with more time and what they would do with more money, okay? So what are their financial goals and how would they like to spend their time? And I ask them to write down 3, 4, 5 things. And these are things that should be a revisit of what we actually talked about in the plan. So having got their objectives, we then want to proceed with these 4 questions. And the first one is doing what you're doing now going to give you what you want? Okay, so the first question is what you're doing now, which is your present career, going to meet all your objectives in the next 4 to 5 years? And I'll put all the objectives. Okay, now for most people, what's the answer going to be to that question? Can their career meet all their objectives in the next 4 or 5 years? The answer we're looking for is no. And if they're honest, and if they make a realistic appraisal of what's happening with their career, they're going to realise no, it can't meet all their objectives, because it certainly can't meet the objective of more time. I could make a little bit more money each year as an engineer, but I certainly wasn't going to get more time. The second question is, look, you've got a choice to make, okay? You have a choice to make. The alternatives are give up, procrastinate, put off, scale down your dreams, and you can have fun with people about that. You know, you can tell them, well, there's no need to take a holiday in the Caribbean. You could always take a holiday in Estonia, or you know, there's no need to drive a Mercedes. There's nothing wrong with a Renault, or whatever. Okay, so they have a choice. One choice is to compromise, and the second choice is to look for other options. So of course we're looking for people who are looking for other options. Okay, now the option that we have on the table, and the option we have to discuss with people, is to build the Amway business. So question number 3 is, if you were successful in building the Amway business with the Network 21 system with our team, that's 3 of the 4 pillars of partnership, and I put it in parallel with the career. If you were to build an Amway business with the Network 21 system with our team, okay, over the next 4 to 5 years. Now, if you were successful at that, what do we mean? We mean that we're not guaranteeing anyone success in this business, because like all businesses, there's no guarantee of success. Whether you open a franchise, a computer shop, a consultancy, an internet business, there's no guarantee of success. So we're not guaranteeing people success in the Amway business either, but we are saying if you were successful with that, would it meet all your objectives? Same question as number 1 above. Would it give you your dreams and goals? Okay. Now, if they hedge and say, well, I'm not sure, then ask them, would you be substantially closer towards achieving your objectives, or would it be taking you further away? And obviously for most people the answer should be yes. If they're successful in this business, whether it's Emerald or whether it's Diamond, they should be substantially closer to their dreams and goals. And the 4th question that we want to ask people is, are you willing to give it a try? Now, you can use different types of language. Do you have enough confidence to go ahead and give this a shot? Do you feel like, yes, it's worth a try? Do you have enough confidence based on what you've seen to go ahead and take the first step? What do you say? Should we give this a go? Those sorts of questions that indicate, yes, they're willing to give this a try. Now, when someone says they are willing to try this, I think it's always worth clarifying, well, what is it they're willing to try, and how long are they willing to try for? Now I know we talk about 3 to 5 years to achieve diamond in this business, but not many people are willing to wait the 3 to 5 years to actually see if it works. So most people are willing to try for a restricted amount of time before they want some confirmation that they're actually on the right track. Alright, so what are they willing to try? I think it's worthwhile asking people, are they willing to try the Amway business with or without the Network 21 system? So most people, if they've got any common sense and they've seen the marketing plan and they've seen anything, they'll say yes, with the system. Then ask them, with or without the support of the team. Are you someone who wants to go it alone and try this your own way, or are you interested in working with the team? Most people are going to give you the answer they're interested in working with the system and they're interested in working with the team, which then gives us the posture to talk about, well, here are the components of the system that you'd be agreeing to, and if you look at the starting point, we can go through things like core. The other thing is a time frame. I'm looking for a 6-month time frame. I would generally say to people, look, if I wanted to learn to play guitar, I wanted to learn a foreign language, can I learn it in 6 days? Absolutely not. Can I learn it in 6 weeks? Well, I might be able to pick up an instrument and get a few notes out of it after 6 weeks, but 6 months, now that's a reasonable time frame to have learned that instrument and be able to get a tune out of it. I know I might not be perfect, but I can at least do something. So 6 months is a reasonable time frame to learn something new, and 6 months is a reasonable time frame to put into this business before you evaluate and expect to see some results. So we're looking for 6 months. Now once people have decided they want to try this, of course we want to jump into the starting point and do a list and all those sorts of things. But I think it's very important before we go down that track that we get some of our bases covered, and we do a bit of groundwork. We do some preparation before we actually ask people to go ahead. And I've actually done a CD, it's called Can I Trust You? And I strongly recommend that you get people to watch that CD and understand what's on it. You need to be able to repeat some little concepts on that CD so that you understand that they trust you before you proceed with the next step, because there's a concept in dealing with people that we cannot proceed beyond the point of trust. Okay? Now, people may trust you enough to sign an application form. It doesn't mean they trust you enough that they're going to use 25 products. Just because they sign the form doesn't mean they trust you enough that they're going to write a list of 100 names and allow you to talk to their friends. That could potentially embarrass them, because if they don't really trust you, they're not going to give you a list, or they're not going to give you a good list, and they're certainly not going to invite their friends to meet you. So we don't want to proceed. We can't proceed past the point of trust. Now we need good trust if we're going to start people up properly, and we need good trust if we're going to follow the system well. So step one, can I trust you? The other thing I would talk about in getting people started is, let's be frank with them and tell them that around 90 to 95% of people in network marketing have only figured out how to spend their money. Okay? They sign up in the business, you spend money. You use some products, you spend money. You go to a BBS or a weekend seminar, you spend money. Now the majority of people, 90 to 95% of people in network marketing, whether it's Amway or any other way, are just spending money. And around 5 to 10% of people have actually figured out in network marketing how to earn money. Alright? So when I do this in the follow-up, it's designed to shock people a little bit, and I ask them, does that bother you that 90-95% of people aren't actually making money? Now if they say it does bother them, I always make a little joke and say, well, it shouldn't bother you because my dad's in this group, okay? He has no intention of making money. He has no incentive to earn money. He's not in the business to make money. He's in this business because he likes the products. He's supporting me. He'd rather buy wholesale than retail, and he gets a free home delivery, those sorts of things. Now that defines a lot of people. There's plenty of people, I don't know whether it's 30%, 40%, maybe 50% of people in this business who never actually intend to make money. Now they might like to make money, but that's not really their intention. So is that a failure? No, of course it's not a failure, because they're getting what they want out of the business, okay? Now having said that, there are a group of people who are in here who'd like to be in here. Let's call this group A, and this one over here group B. So I always ask my new person, which group are you in? Now some people have poor comprehension, so they jump up and say, I'm in group B. What they mean is they'd like to be in group B. So rephrase the question. Which group are you in now? Everyone starts in group A. Everyone wants to get from group A to group B, okay, if they're an IBO and they want to make money. So how do we get from group A to group B? Well, just statistically you'll realise that only the minority of people get into group B. So when I'm talking to a new person, I want them to understand that, listen, if you're happy to be in group A, you can do whatever you like. anything you like, you'll be in Group A. But if you want to get from Group A to Group B, then you need to listen carefully. And you need to stop doing what people in A are doing, and you need to start doing what people in Group B are doing. Now that seems pretty logical. How are you going to find out what people in Group B are doing? Well, find someone who's Executive Leaders Club or above and learn from them. Be a good student and be really willing to listen carefully to their advice and follow it. Because the statistics are against you. The odds are that you're going to get stuck in Group A and not make money. So be a good student, find a good coach, and really be attentive and listen to exactly what they're saying. Why is it that people get stuck in this Group A here? Well, let me show you why. Because most people think that the income from their Amway business is going to look something like this. So you'd imagine that we can put out a chart here, little graph. Here's a graph of what they think the business income from Amway is going to look like, okay? It's going to start here from zero, and it's going to grow slowly because we need some skills, we need to learn about the products, we need to know how to show a plan, we need to know how to do some retail, we need to find some good people and create some duplication, then we're going to grow to the desired income level. So most people think their Amway business is going to look like this. Why do they think like that? Because honestly, most people come out of the E quadrant. I certainly did. Most people have never owned a business, and so they fail to realise that businesses don't start at zero. Businesses start at minus. And businesses go like this. Alright? This point here is a very important point. What's this called? This point here is called break even. That's when the expenses from the business are covered by the income from the business. Before that, all of this down here is negative. Now we know where it goes. It goes on your starter kit. It goes on your training material. It goes on your BBS tickets or weekend tickets. It goes on the products that you're going to invest in and use in your business. We know where it goes. The question is, where does it come from? So when I ask new prospects that question, where does this money come from? They sort of look around in the air. Well, it comes from the business owner, which means it comes right out of your pocket. So if I'm talking to that new person, I want them to understand that these overheads come out of their pocket. And they're going to keep coming out of their pocket until they reach break even. Then I tell them the good news. The good news is, in the Amway business, 9% Leaders Club is typically where you break even. Now let me be very careful. If you are building a distance group 100 miles away or 150 kilometres away and you're going to drive there once a week or once every 2 weeks, obviously 9% Leaders Club isn't going to cover the mileage, the petrol, the running costs on your car. But for most people who build the business locally, within half an hour of their house, then yes, 9% Leaders Club would typically cover your overheads. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, maybe you want to say 12% Leaders Club if there's a bit of travel involved or your expenses are high. So here we are, we're at zero. We've got to get to 9% Leaders Club before we're going to make money in our business. And so here's the question I want to ask all new people. Before we get the starting point, before we start making a list, I want to ask them, do you want to get from 0 to 9% fast or slow? What would your choice be? Now what do you think most people are going to say? They're going to say, wow, I'd rather have the money coming out of my business than coming out of my pocket, so I'd like to get from 0 to 9% Leaders Club fast. Isn't that what you want? Isn't what you want that all new people are going to say to you, I'm going to get from 0 to 9% Leaders Club and I want to do it fast. And I'd like you to show me how to do it. Well, that's how we should start the business. We shouldn't start the business by forcing people to make a list, dragging names out of them, convincing them that they should listen to us and use the script to invite properly. We should have people coming to us saying, we want to get to break even quickly, we want to get to 9% Leaders Club in a hurry, and we'd really like you to show us how to do it. Show me what to do, just tell me what to do. We want people who are good students who are willing to listen to advice, because then we can give them the right advice and they'll actually follow it. So all that's done before we even open up the starting point, in my opinion. So when we get the starting point out, we can say to people, now remember you said you wanted to get to break even, you wanted to get to 9% Leaders Club fast. Well, if you want to get to 9% Leaders Club fast, we need a dream that motivates you. That's why we talk about the importance of a dream. If you are not worried about whether it takes you 6 months or 2 years to get to 9% Leaders Club, well, don't worry about this dream thing. That's not for you. But if you don't want to get stuck in the 90 to 95% of people, if you really want to get in the 5-10% of people, you want your business to be profitable, you need a dream. And you certainly need a dream that's bigger than the opinion of other people, because you're going to run into some resistance, you're going to come across some negatives, and when you hit that negative, you've got a choice. You can either quit and give up, slip back into Group A, be happy using the products, or you can say to yourself, you know what, my dream is more important than the opinion of other people. It's more important than some anonymous idiot on the network, on the internet, who's devoted his life to rubbishing the Amway business. By the way, he's got nothing better to offer you, but he can tell you what won't work. So you need a dream that's bigger than the opinion of other people. When you go through the starting point, we want to tell people, yes, if you want to get to 9% Leaders Club fast, we need a strong dream. Write down some dreams that you're serious about. Number 2, make a list. Okay? What sort of a list? Well, if you want to build a business fast, don't mess around with 10 or 20 names and say, there, that's everyone I know. Make a big list, 100 names. Work towards 200 names, which means start prospecting straight away and adding names to your list. Step number 3, the invite. If you want to get to 9% Leaders Club fast, we need to practice the invite 10 times. Yep, 10 times. And as the upline, my responsibility is to test the difficult questions so that I would practice and simulate the invitation by asking, really, can you tell me anything more now? What kind of business is this? Is this Amway? Is this selling? Is this network marketing? Is this multi-level marketing? Is this anything to do with Quick Start? Those kind of questions. And when the prospect, the new IBO has practiced and practiced and practiced and knows the answers to those difficult questions, well, they're safe. There's nothing to worry about. They can pick up the phone with confidence because they've heard the question before, they know the answer, they know what they're doing. Step number 4, we're going to show the plan. Well, if you want to build the business slow, we can talk to people one by one, by one, by one. This is going to take forever. Obviously, it's much faster if we can do 2 good home meetings. What's a good home meeting? 10 people plus 10 people. 10 people the first time, 10 people the second time. You can get kicked off and going to Leaders Club in a hurry. Now, do they have to do that? No. But if people have said to you, look, I don't want these overheads coming out of my money, out of my pocket. I don't want to be bleeding money for the next 6, 12, 18 months. I want to get my overheads covered quickly. Well, then that's the reason that you want to do 2 good home meetings and make an effort to make good invitations and get good prospects into that home meeting. Now, just a word of warning here. When you set up the home meeting, even if the new IBO agrees to have a home meeting, use your judgment. We've got to use our intelligence here. Are they a suitable candidate to run a home meeting? Because if they have a rubbish list, they invite the worst possible prospects with a lousy invitation that you've never heard, they don't use the script, they won't use contact material, they're not comfortable with edification, they don't like using the products, you are going to have a lousy, miserable, horrible, pathetic home meeting. And it's an absolute waste of your time. So don't set up a home meeting just because the system says have 2 home meetings. Set up a home meeting if it's going to work. Set up a home meeting if it's going to be effective. And they have to prove to you that they're the right candidate for a home meeting. They've got to make a big list. They've got to use the script. They've got to practice the invite. They've got to invite quality prospects. You've got to hear the invitation. You've got to make sure they're inviting the best people on their list. You've got to make sure that they're making sensible invitations. There's no point inviting people from 3 hours away and expecting them to show up at a home meeting. There's no point inviting people who've never found your house before, never been to your house before, couldn't find your house, okay? So it's best to make some common sense judgments. Could these people on the list actually make it to this home meeting, okay? If they can't, I'd much rather do a good one-on-one than a lousy, pathetic home meeting. So we're talking about getting to 9% Leaders Club fast. We need to talk about using the products. Why? We're in a referral business, not a professional sales business. Do we want to sell products? Yes. Do we want to sell lots of products? Absolutely. Do we want to cold call people? Do we want to go door to door? No. So we're in a referral business where if I've used the products, I'm happy to recommend them to someone else. We need to explain that concept of referrals versus selling and explain to people why they should start using the products. Then I tell people, look, if you want to get to 9% Leaders Club fast, any business, do you focus on your strengths or weaknesses? If you want to get profitable quickly, obviously you need to go with your strengths. So what are our strengths? Our strengths are definitely Neutralite or Neutral Way in some markets, artistry, and the water treatment system, eSpring. Okay, depends which country you're in. But those are our 3 biggest products. Worldwide, Neutralite is close to 50% of Amway's business. Artistry is around 25-30% of Amway's turnover. The eSpring is probably around 10%. So if you put together Artistry, Neutralite and eSpring, it's at least 75 to 80% of Amway's turnover, right there in those 3 product areas. So obviously when a new person gets in the business and says, I want to get to 9% Leaders Club fast, these are the 3 product areas that they really should pay attention to. So we want to influence people to start with our strengths. to go with the skincare system with artistry, to start using double X or daily if you've got it, omega-3, the antioxidants, protein. Those are our strongest products in the Nutrilite range. And what else do we have? Well, we plug into the training program and we get people on track for core. All right. Now a lot of people try and slam dunk core, bring people in with 2 BBS tickets, 2 weekend tickets, a CEP, blah blah blah. Great if you can do that, wonderful. I'm not opposed to it. However, I feel it's much more important that people actually listen to 30 CDs in 30 days than sign up on the CEP, listen to nothing for a first month, waiting for their CEP to show up, and by the time the CEP shows up, they've already quit because they've had so many negatives and they've had no positive input. So for me, 30 CDs in the first 30 days is far more important than someone signing up on the CEP. So, when you do your plan, when you do your follow-up, when you do the starting point, you need to put more emphasis on we need to listen to 30 CDs than just we need to sign up on the CEP. If we can get both, great. But obviously it's more important that they actually listen to 30 CDs because they're going to understand more, they're going to be more prepared for the negatives, they're going to have a better ability to handle objections. They're just going to appreciate what they go through and have a more solid foundation than if they sign up on the CEP and 4 weeks or 6 weeks later they start getting drip-fed information on this business. So ideally, yes, BBS tickets, weekend tickets, CEP. Ideally, essential skills or starter pack, networked around starter pack, or Made Easy series, some of those sorts of things. But obviously I know that I can lend CD material and they can buy it when their attitude's right and they're ready to make those sort of investments. So we get people headed in the direction of core. There's some of the things that I think are important to cover during a startup process. Now we can't necessarily get it all done in one night. Sometimes we get stuck somewhere, sometimes we run out of time. But in the process of getting people started, I think these are some of the important things that we want to cover. Alright, now you may not actually cover this first thing up in the startup process, but at some point I believe it's important when we're talking to people about their dream to use an illustration that I talk about in my book, and that's the one from the Twin Towers. Because most people talk about dreams, but they don't really have dreams and goals that are consistent with their values. And in my book I give an illustration of what we mean by values. Okay, if you were to stand at the top of the Twin Towers and I said I dare you to walk across, you're not going to risk your life by walking across simply to make some money. You're not going to walk across here just to get some money or to get a trip or to have a decent car or a better house or something like that. People are only willing to risk their life for about 3 things. One is freedom. Okay? We've seen examples all around the world in different cultures, different times in histories. People will risk their life for freedom. People risk their life for political freedom, for religious freedom, for personal freedom. And essentially people would risk their life for economic freedom, because sometimes people will get in a boat, leave their country and sail off to Australia because they want economic freedom. Second thing people will risk their life for is love. Okay? And what we mean here is if someone dangled a baby over here and said to the mother, if you don't walk across I'm going to let go of the baby, that mother is going to walk. So people will risk their life for someone they love. And the third one is ego. Think about it this way. Driving a Formula 1 car at 260, 280 kilometres an hour around the track, are you risking your life? Absolutely. Climbing the top of Mount Everest, risking your life? Yes. Walking barefoot to the South Pole, with no support team. These adventure things. Why do people do that? Well, it's ego. It's the challenge. It's I'm the greatest, I'm the first, I dive the deepest, I climb the highest. It's all ego. So these are things that people place a very high value on: freedom, love, and ego. So you need to find a dream that connects with one of these 3 things. When people have a dream that connects with freedom, love, or ego, it's a very powerful dream. It's something they'll risk their life for. Just to explain, rewards are something separate. You see, if you build this business to diamond because of freedom, can you buy a nice car? Yes, the car's a reward. The car can be a symbol of the freedom that you've achieved. If you build this business because of love, to help other people, will you end up owning a nice house or taking nice travel? Yes. and the house or the travel is a reward. It's not what motivated you to build the business, but those are the rewards that you can get. What motivated you was love. Ego, you just want to be someone. You've heard Mitch Sala say something like that, I just wanted to be someone. Well, this business, a lot of people will build this business because of ego, because of they want to be recognized, they want to be respected, they want to speak on a Network 21 stage. That's definitely ego. Now, if you build the business for those ego reasons, will you be able to drive a nice car? Will you take nice holidays? Will you be able to get out of debt? Will you be self-employed? Yes, and those are all the rewards. So just see clearly in your mind that there's things that we value, like freedom, love, and ego, and there's other things which are called rewards, which the business will definitely give you, but you may not be motivated to build this business just for a car, but you'll end up with a nice car, no problem. So, I think it's good to put this picture in front of people and help them to crystallize their dream as something that connects with one of these three things. Then we've got a powerful dream, and these dreams are certainly more important than the opinion of other people. These are dreams that will keep people anchored in their business. Another thing I brought with me today is two little books here. They're by an author called Les Giblin. Okay, this is the book called Skill with People, and it's a very thin book. He's written a second or subsequent book. This book is called The Art of Dealing with People. Both these books are by Les Giblin, and as you can see, they're very thin. Even together, they're very thin. And these are the kind of books that I think all cholerics need, because cholerics get too bossy, too aggressive, start ordering people around, and you'll kill people in your business. Equally, they're good for melancholics to read, because sometimes melancholics want to do things right, things have to be done properly, and you drive people up the wall because you're so fastidious about the detail. Equally, it's good for sanguines to read these books. Why? Because it'll remind you that not everyone thinks that life's a party, not everything has to be fun, and sometimes details are important. It's not only good to start something, but it's good to finish it. It'll help you to interact better with people. Phlegmatics, I'm not sure why you should read it, but it'd probably be a good idea. So there's a couple of books that you could look for. They're called The Art of Dealing with People and Skill with People by Les Giblin. They're the sort of simple little book that you can pick up and reread. In fact, probably just reading 5 minutes a day from this type of a book on a continuing basis is an excellent idea.